Hi, I cannot hear you for some reason. Oh no. Let me make sure it's not me. No. Let's see. Is anybody out there that can tell us if they can hear magic? Not at all. I could hear you fine before in the backstage. See, everyone, this is what happens when you go live.
How about now?
Oh, there you go. Yes, I can hear you now.
I think my microphone died in the meantime,
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is a live session, and we started with a dead microphone of magic, okay, which I need to charge somehow later on. How are you doing? Where are you, Renee? This is not your tea shop.
I know. I am in Reston, Virginia, and it is beautiful here this week. It's a beautiful fall day. So I won't bore you all with why I'm here, but I do want to acknowledge in magic. I don't know if you've heard in the news, but in the United States last night, we had another mass shooting. And it was in Maine. It's in the East Coast. It's on the top of the East Coast, if you're not familiar, right above Massachusetts, New Hampshire. And about 60 people were injured. And so far, last news report that I heard, we had 22 casualties. The person is still at large, and the authorities are searching for this individual. But I really want to acknowledge for all of those that are going through this in the US that have seen the news. I just want to acknowledge the fact that yet again, we had another mass shooting in the United States, and it's very sad and unfortunate and frustrating and all sorts of things. So it's, I think it was at a bowling alley and a restaurant. So families were enjoying a night out. There was a kind of like a bowling type of tournament or event. So it was families that were impacted. And it's a very sad situation and honestly overwhelming and frustrating. But it also reminds me of why it continues to be important for us to stay on this mission of leading our communities, leading in not only a corporate setting, but really helping people develop ways in which they can have conflict in constructive ways. They can identify mental illness. They can identify, things like just tense situations and give people tools to cope with their stress and their anger so that they're not continuing to use violence to solve problems. So I think today's session is very relevant. And while, hopefully we'll also, have a little fun with it, but there is a real serious element to the work that we do every day in helping people communicate and helping people solve problems. And I want us to be leaders in providing solutions. And that's what this is really about. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this moment with me and for helping us develop.
My sincere condolences to everybody that has been impacted and everybody in the US. I know that this kind of a situations impact communities and people and it's every situation like that. It's a painful situation. Okay, and it happens too often, far too often.
Yeah.
As often as it happens, it happens far too often.
Yeah.
Okay, let's conflict resolution. I think then that it's a very timely discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Renee, your recommendation is that we go with the concept of Johari Window.
Mhm.
So I have prepared a little bit of that's how much I found about the Johari Window concept.
Yes.
Psychological framework designed to enhance self-awareness and interpersonal relationships, created by psychologists Joseph Loft and Harrington Ingram, 1950. So quite a established framework, I would say.
Mhm.
The model divides personal awareness into 4 quadrants. It's open, hidden, blind, and unknown. And it's commonly used in both personal development and organizational settings to improve communications and trust.
Mhm.
I don't know very well this concept. I think you are an expert here. So today's session is going to be you leading me a little bit through this exercise. What did you prepare for today?
Yeah, well, and I thank you for being willing to be so publicly vulnerable and open, which is, something that most people would never do in a setting like this, particularly when it comes to conflict. For me, as I teach and coach people, whether it's in a professional setting or a personal setting, I really like people to understand, because again, the only behavior you control is your own. And the objective is for people to gain awareness on how they're providing feedback. When you're in a conflict situation, it's all about exchange, right? So you are providing feedback or receiving feedback. Therefore, in addition to all the common things that we hear around active listening and asking better questions, one of the key things, as these two scientists established in the 1950s, is around really understanding how you as an individual consume that feedback and then provide it back. Therefore, that's why it's called a window, right? Because how you see, it's a window into how you see the discussion occurring. Therefore, in order to dive a little bit deep into this, and we're going to go through a little bit the 4 stages very quick so people have a context, and then I'll post online the 20 questions. I encourage everyone to answer the 20 questions, and then what happens is you do some scoring, which I will do very quickly with magic. We're just going to do 4 questions for because of the time, and we'll work through those 4 questions. And then if you remember high school, where graphics, that's probably algebra, high school algebra, where you do plotting on the graphs.
Yeah, the graph.
Yeah, you're going to get a graph.
X and Y, yeah.
X and Y, right. And then you plot and you fall in a particular quadrant, and then that comes into the definitions. So very quickly, so people have context, you've prepared other slides that we're going to review all at once before we ask you your 4 questions. And those slides are going to show you a little definition of what it means to fall in which quadrant, right? So we're going to start with open, right?
Okay.
And for those who need to visualize, the open, if you have your square, is going to be on your top left.
Top left, okay.
Yeah, okay. So let's go to open.
Just before we do that, Renee, Murado just said hello, and I think we need to say hello back.
Yes.
And I think there are a couple of people actually watching us, and I don't know if I was for a second there, I thought that I just cannot see the comments from people, and maybe there's some kind of a other technical problem than just my microphone. But Lara, are you there? Can you hear us? Because I think you've made a comment on the profile, and I'm not sure if you are still around. And that there is a couple of people. There's like 5-6 people that are joining back and forth. I'm wondering. I hope that that there'll be more people watching us. So anybody there, keep on asking questions. Keep on kind of letting us know whether you hear us, whether everything is okay, and if you want to have some more deep dive or some information about any of the steps. Okay, so we start with open, Renee?
We start with open, right? And that is part of your And again, your conscious self. That's when how you show up in the world. Okay. What that means, your attitudes, your behaviors, your motivation. And so these are, if you're an open person in terms of conflict resolution, it means you're an open book. You put it on the table. You're direct. You don't carry the conflict in you in silence, right? So that's what
I consider myself open, but let's see how open I am really.
Yes. Well, we'll have to judge that after your final test, because 4 questions are not enough, and we're doing it today just for the purposes of demonstrating how it works. But I am happy to then next week, maybe we reveal and talk to people about their score. So we'll put the test on LinkedIn. You can do your score. You can send me your scores and I can prepare, and I won't disclose your name. I'll direct message you back with like a code name or a letter. And then we can maybe do like little live coaching if you are willing to do that. This is an experiment, so thank you for being vulnerable. Okay, so open, and then I think you have the slide on open magic. Do you want to bring that up?
No, the only thing I have is just the one slide.
The one slide. Okay, perfect.
One slide. Okay, so we have open.
Open. Yep. So we did open. All right. So then hidden is going to be on your left bottom quadrant. Okay. And hidden is really, it's really areas that, you don't disclose, or even, let's say you're having a conversation about a political point of view or a religious point of view, and, you don't really feel comfortable or safe in the environment, and the conflict might be there, but you do not feel like you can express your opinion, right? So, or ask questions. So you really hide that deep part of your belief, like, again, whether it's your position on what's happening right now in the world with war. And whenever you're having, again, a difficult conversation, right? I remember when my mom was going through cancer, my brother didn't want her to take chemotherapy, right? He was very against it. And there were very specific reasons why he did not want her to go through that treatment process. So those are the types of conflicts that you really, it's difficult to talk about. So you're going to hold it very close to yourself. Okay. Then a blind spot, it's on your top right quadrant. And again, that would be when you're blind to things. You imagine, right, other people, you're supportive to other people, and you're generally supportive, but you don't know enough about it or enough about that person, or you don't have enough trust in the environment that you're in. So you do not really reveal much, or know what you don't know, right? You hear that comment of people saying, I don't know what I don't know, so I need to ask more questions, right? And then the unknown, right? It's rich and complex. This is really something in your unconscious. So, when you walk into a place and you feel like something's off, and you get like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, or you get a bad feeling when you approach someone, but you just can't explain it. Some people call it a sixth sense, right? Sometimes when you're having a difficult conversation in an argument, you don't know where that's going. You don't know the motivation of people. So you really respond, you shut down, and you respond in a way where you don't approach, right? Okay. So those are the 4.
I think I understood, Renee, and by the way, I just found the picture that could, kind of well explain the area that you were trying to put together. The quadrants. I understood the difference between the open and hidden. Okay, so let me share what I found online. But I'm not sure if I really understood the if I really
Blind
understood the unknown versus blind.
versus
Yes.
blind. Yes. Okay. So perfect. And let's go back to my example on chemotherapy, right? It would be something that maybe others know a lot about chemotherapy, like the doctor, but you don't know
Mhm.
anything about chemotherapy. So it's a blind spot for you. You can't really have an opinion one way or another. So you can't have a debate with the doctor, right? Or we can use it in
I can
terms of
get a
music.
feedback. So this is something that I don't know, but this is in this picture here. This is something
Yes,
I don't know, but others
but
might know
others do
extremely
know.
well, and they can give me this information. They can explain
Correct.
to me the problem that I have. This is
Correct.
something that I really like, because this is one of the things that I really like about the trust environment in a team. Because I typically ask people, give me an information about the blind spot, right? What am I not seeing? What am I
Mhm.
what am I missing in this whole picture, because I
Yes.
just don't know about that, right? It's not
Yes.
everything that I know.
Yes.
I
Yes.
understand.
And then the unknown is when you're in a space with people where neither they nor you know anything about the situation or the topic, right?
Gotcha.
So it's unknown to everyone. And you might still
It
be arguing. You
feels,
might still
it
be
feels
arguing.
bad.
Yes. So, all right. Did that help?
Yes. That's awesome. That's
Okay.
awesome.
And I love that you found this picture because that's exactly the picture. And hopefully that helps everybody out there as well. Okay.
Okay. I'll
Now,
add it to the presentation later on when we will post it. Okay.
yes. And the beautiful picture actually separates everything in very equal quadrants, but all of us have a little bit of all of them, and our quadrants might be bigger or smaller. Okay. So don't always think that, this is not a competition, right? You're not looking to score equally and there's a better or worse score. It's really how open or how close you are. If your blind spot is bigger or smaller. And this is regarding you as an individual, everything you know in terms of business and in terms of personal, your culture. So that's why it's interesting how it shapes how you ask questions and how you approach conflict. Okay, does that
Okay.
help?
So if I understand correctly, just to reiterate that, Renee, this picture is kind of a very uniform, and then it shows like four exactly the same quadrants, right? However, what could be is that, when you think about the particular area of conversation or conflict or whatever, it might be that the open area is actually much bigger than the little 25%, right? It could be the open area I would say in a trust environment, probably your hidden area is extremely small, because you're
Mhm,
pretty much willing to share a lot. It will
mhm,
probably depend on the trust in the organization, in the relationship,
mhm,
versus your own trait, your own kind of a willingness to be open. Yeah,
mhm, mhm.
correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And so I think we could also use an example like music, right? You're a musician. You
I
know, yes, you are. And then I don't know if people out there know that about you, but Magic is a musician. Actually, that's what he went to school for. And um, a great example for using that is I don't know how to play the instrument, but my ear knows if something is in tune or out of tune because I have heard different music throughout my life, right?
okay.
But I don't know how to play the instrument. So it's not really unknown. It's not really, maybe it's a blind spot, but it's, if we're going to have a conflict about music, and this happens often, right? Nowadays with my daughter, this happens a lot, right? She's listening to rock or she's listening to rap, and it's like the beat just sounds the same, So I know that it's that, and we have all this argument around: is it music? Is it not music? Is it how good of a music is it? Because it doesn't have a lot of different beats. It just has the same beat. So that's the same thing, right? It's a funny example, but it's one that I think everyone can relate to, because salsa music is my preference. Maybe rock. You and I were talking about music the other day. You listen to a great variety of music. And to your point, you situationally, if you're working out or if you're concentrating, or you'll use a different type of music depending on if you're driving the Autobahn at 180 miles an hour, or, or if you're taking a hike, one of your famous hikes, right?
I need to figure out how much it's 180 miles an hour in kilometers.
I know. Yeah, I have no idea. Sorry. maybe someone online can tell us. Oh, Manuel joined us.
Yes, we have Radul and we have Manuel, and I don't know who else, but I think there are like 8 to 10 people that are constantly there.
Yes,
I haven't seen any further comments online or what name you, and I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit afraid of clicking on the stream on my phone, because
no, don't do that, because it'll create another technical issue.
Conversation. I only see 9 people at the moment. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to be very old school, and I'm going to show you a little.
Hold on. I'm going to close up on you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there you are. Okay, there we go.
That's my little Johari window graph that I did many years ago.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. And you should do it at least every 3 to 5 years. Let me see if hold on. Okay, there we go. No surprise, right? I'm open. So this is what everyone should end up with, right? It's a little graph that tells you, and you can see how mine, right? It extends. It's not that perfect 25, 25, 25. Okay.
It's 35, 35 is actually pretty large.
Right? Yeah. So that's really kind of the example. Okay, Madrul, there are also situations when there are 2 or more points in a conflict, out of which half of the points are known and half are unknown to both parties in the conflict. That is absolutely correct. And that's why compromise is so important, right? And then you have to figure out a path forward. So how would you do that, Radul? How would you suggest, that there's a path forward? You can think about that, or anybody else that's on the line, and put that on the window in the comments. And Magic, how would you approach that situation?
I think, Radul, we prepared actually with Renee, and I don't know if we're gonna have time to cover it today, but there is a kind of a couple of steps that you need to take to solve the conflict, and I think it will depend if there are areas that are open and there are areas that are hidden.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you can explore, like put the open stuff on the table, but then be aware and understand that there are some hidden areas, and maybe kind of discuss and negotiate with people and understand what might be the reasons why there are points in the conflict that people don't want to share, or elements of the conversation that they want to share. They might have a very good reason for that, okay? Or there might be just a simple story of trust. They might not trust each other enough, okay? Like for example, I would say, Renee and I, we almost never have a conflict. I mean, we might have a disagreement in the work. At work, we had different opinions on problems, okay, more than once, but we didn't have a conflict because we were always willing to put all our cards on the table, if you will, and then compare the notes, and then the compromise would be much easier for us to achieve because we were just open about and we could trust each other. For different topics,
yeah, that's a very good one. Okay,
so Renee, do you want to go a test for me, or do you want to do the steps?
No, I want to first do the test. Just 4 questions, and everyone, you should play along. You don't have to reveal your answer. You can just score it and keep it to yourself. I can actually direct message or post it later. I'm traveling today, but I will put it out in the conversation. And you can take the test on your own. right? And then do your scoring and let us know. But we're going to read the 4 questions and you're going to score it. I'm going to tell you how it works. But there is another comment.
Okay.
A good leader as a mediator or negotiator who gives his or her opinion in that conflict, that we trust his opinion and apply it at once. Excellent. Yes, seeking advice from other people where they are an SME, right? Or a subject matter expert. This is why you would bring consultants into the discussion. I think sometimes we joke a lot around, I know I do. Sometimes I would joke a lot about bringing in consultants from the outside. But I would joke because I'm like, well, this company is very complex, and what the consultants can't learn in a minute or in a few engagements of a few weeks or maybe even a year, the complexities and the nuances. But what consultants bring is outside expertise and not deep knowledge in specific areas. And that perspective really helps. So that's a really good example of that. Also, a doctor, when you get sick, a medical doctor, you have your generalist, but if you have something wrong with your brain, then you want to go to a neurologist, someone that just studies the brain, and they have very deep knowledge on that. So that's a really good example. All right. Excellent. Thank you for the feedback online. So Magic, are you ready? Oh, let me give you the instructions. Okay. I'm going to read a question. I'm going to give an A or B option.
Okay. I'm going to take notes just to make
A
sure
or
that
B. Okay.
Yeah.
And then if A, and then you have scores 0 to 5. And I need you to score both statements, A and B.
Both statements 0 to 5. Okay, gotcha.
0 means it's not something you would ever do at all. Right?
Never.
So
0
never.
is okay.
0 is never. 5 is always.
Always, okay.
And any number in between is depending on the situation. I might give it a 1, I might give it a 2, right? But you always are going to score both, but not in the extremes, because you could sometimes be somewhere in the middle. You could be a 3, you could be a 2. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, everybody ready? I hope so. I'm going to read the first question. And remember, the use of the words are very intentional. These are relationships that matter to you. Okay, even if it's in a work situation. But I didn't develop it, so I'm going to stay true to the questions. And they're using the word friend because it means that the relationship means something to you. Okay? Okay.
Relationship means something. Okay.
Something. It could be a little something or a lot of something, but it's something. Okay?
Gotcha.
Okay. If a friend of yours had a conflict with a mutual acquaintance, someone that you know casually, they're not in your friend circle, but right? Who is more important acquaintance of yours with whom it is more important for him or her to get along? So they're an acquaintance, but or a business person, but it's important that they get along, right? So they're having conflict, and it's important that they get along. And this person's your friend, the other's just an acquaintance, right? What would you do? Would you tell your friend that you felt they were partially responsible for the problem, and you would let them know how the other person, the acquaintance, is being affected by their conflict, right? Or their style or their position? That's A. Okay. Or B, would you not get involved? You would not be able to continue to get along with both people at the same time in any way, right? You can't be in the room.
I cannot be in there. So there are two kind of dimensions. Dimension number 1, hey, is I'm kind of calling my friend and saying, hey, you really screwed up, right? You need to fix that. Jose Maria Gris, hello.
Hola.
You here? So option number A is like I pull this person and I say, well, this is bad. You need to fix that because otherwise you're gonna get yourself into trouble. Okay. I would probably on this one I would be either always or 4 or 5. 4 or 5. Let's give it a 5 because if this is a friend, if this is a friend of mine, I'd rather pull this person in. Okay. And then answer B is I would never be able to stay with those people in one room.
Yeah, you wouldn't get involved at all. You wouldn't tell your friend that there's a problem that he needs to resolve. So you would always deal with them in separate situations, always keep them apart, but never bring together, which, by the way, sometimes that's impossible, particularly in business.
It's impossible. And honestly saying, I think we should be above our personal preferences in the business. Okay. That's my thinking. Even though I don't like some people, I might not like people, I might not get along with people. This is not a party, right? Where it is a business setup, and you need to kind of find a solution. So I don't know what it makes me a 0 or 5, but I would probably there are situations when if I would really think that somebody is not really behaving correctly, that I would try to avoid them because I'm also of an opinion that if somebody is not worth relationship, he's not worth a relationship. So I would say on this B, I would say a very strong of I would be able to still have conversations with them.
So a 1 or a 2?
Maybe even a 4.
A 4. Okay.
It means that, hey, I know that they don't get along and they have a conflict. Okay. Do I bring them to the table together? I would say I do. Okay. Unless it is really creating some kind of a mess each and every time, then I would stop. So maybe 3. Maybe 3.
Okay. Maybe 3. All right. Okay. Perfect.
Murado is 4 on A and 0 on B.
I got it. All right.
Murado, thank you for the active participation. I really like it.
I love that. Yes. All right. Second one. If one of your friends had one of your friends and you had a heated argument, very heated argument in the past, and then it changes your relationship such that that person, the next time you see them, they're uncomfortable. They're not being themselves around you, right? You argued.
It's my friend. We had an argument, and he or she, next time I walk into the room, we used to give each other a high five, but no more.
No more. Okay. So do you A, avoid making things worse by discussing the behavior and just let the whole thing drop? You don't want to make it worse. You don't want to say, hey, why didn't you give me a high five? Right? You just avoid it. Or
this kind of even talking about this past.
Don't even talking about it. Right. Or B, do you bring it up and ask the person how they felt the argument changed the relationship overall?
Okay. So I'm going to say on A, I would almost never have a situation when I don't talk about this. If there is a problem, I'd rather put it on the table, especially that if this is a friend of mine or somebody I trust. It's not great to lose a friend or someone that I care about. So that would be super important for me. Unless the discussion changed something in me and I don't want to talk to this person anymore. So I would give it on A, I would, if this is consistent, on A, I would most likely bring it. So avoid is 1 probably.
Okay, so that A would be avoid. So 1 on avoid, okay? And then in this case, B.
And B is on the bring and the
Bring it up.
discussion.
Talk about it.
That would be a 4 for me. That would
Okay.
be or
1,
even 4.
1 and 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah, 1 and 4. Okay, yeah. I did the same, by the way. We match. Yeah.
Okay.
I always like it when we match. Okay. Okay. This is another one, right? This is a little different. Nothing's happened that you know of, no special argument, no big event, no nothing, right? However, your friend begins to avoid you, doesn't return your text, doesn't return your phone calls, or tells you, oh, sorry, I was in a meeting, or I was asleep, or, I couldn't pick up at that time, but they never really call you back. They never really engage you. They're just making excuses, right? So what would you do? A, do you tell this person, hey, you've been avoiding me, right? Is there something going on? Something wrong? Or B, do you follow their lead or their example? And each time that you engage, if you engage, you keep it short and sweet. I relate this to a marriage more than anything. Like sometimes I'm really mad at my husband, right? And so I'll just like keep the conversation really short. Be like, you got to pick up the kid at 1:00, right? Or, but I don't want to. What do you want for dinner? But I don't really talk. Right?
I know this behavior. This is a terrible behavior. You get the silence.
Yes, the silence treatment.
It's like the worst thing that happens. If I'm getting the silence, I'm in trouble. I'm in serious trouble. Okay. Yeah. That means that I earned a lot of negative points,
Yes. Oh, we should have a whole session on the negative points, by the way, and positive points. That's a whole topic for a totally different day, but it's funny. It's more about, people when you're in a relationship, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. So if the person is avoiding you,
I would if the person that I really like and is a friend of mine at work, and we kind of get along together and we work very closely, and suddenly this person just stops being nice to me, I would reach out immediately. Always, I guess always. I would just pick up somebody that I care about, and then somebody that I want to stay close with, because we enjoyed working with each other. And I didn't know what's going on. Okay, if I knew what's going on, I would pick up the phone and say, hey, this kind of a conversation didn't go the right way. But if I didn't know what's going on, I would say, hey, what's up? You need to tell me where is the problem, what is going on, and why we are having this kind of a difficult conversation. Okay, a difficult situation. So that would be a 5. And on the just keep it short and sweet would be very, very, very difficult for me. Just not to say anything. So I would say a 1 probably.
Okay.
All right. 1.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. Last question. Right. Last question for this, because we don't have time for all 20. If two of your friends, right, are talking. What are balloons? What are balloons? I saw that. That was so cool. That was really weird. Okay. If two of your friends were talking and one friend accidentally brought up a personal problem.
I got distracted by the balloon.
What happened?
Okay.
What happened? What happened? The balloons distracted you?
I don't know what the balloons were. It was such a funny thing. Somebody likes you, Renee. I don't know what was it.
Thank you for whoever did that, made that happen. I love the balloons. Okay, focus. Get back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have two friends, right?
Okay.
Right. Two really good friends, right? But you told this friend that you were having an issue with this friend. Look at, yeah, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But you just told this friend. You don't want to tell, you haven't told this friend.
Mm-hmm.
But accidentally, the three of you are having drinks, and this friend made some comment or said something that put the problem on the table with this friend. Hey, Magic said that the other day, right? You guys went out to lunch and he's paid for lunch 3 times in a row and you didn't pick up the tab, right? And you had complained to this friend but not told the friend, right? Like, oops, what would you do? Right? Difficult situation. It's like, oh my God, I told you that in confidence. How could you tell that person that was, you knew that was going to create a problem? Why would you do that? Right? So, what would you do? You're having dinner, the three of you change the subject and you kick your friend under the table and tell them, shut up. Right? Or do you tell your other friend, right? You fess up. You say, hey, something that happened the other day that kind of bothered me. Right now is not the right time to talk about it. We'll talk about it later and resolve it. Right? What would
Can I
you do?
turn it into a joke?
You can.
I would try to turn it into some kind of a joke, but if it's a very serious thing that I felt this other person, then I guess I would apologize and say, hey, this is something that I meant to discuss with you, but we didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not ruin the evening. Let's kind of chat about it later offline. Because again, any disagreements or problems should be resolved in a one-to-one situation. And complaints like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would be really surprised if I did tell this first person, first friend of mine, about the other one, like
Yeah.
gossip. I'm not good at gossip.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. But some people
I
are.
like when people tell me gossip.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not great at repeating the gossip. But if people tell me gossip, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not great at spreading gossip. Anyway, no. I would probably try to address it head on. And there was the option A, right?
Yeah, is that you change the subject. So I'll give you an example. So this happens sometimes with my husband and my kids, right?
Okay.
My son the other day told me, or my husband the other day told my son and my husband were talking. And my son told my husband something, right? That he's like, hey, Dad, don't tell mom, right? Mom was in the kitchen and we we're all talking, all four of us. And I said, yeah, that thing you're having a problem with your girlfriend about that my son hadn't told me about, but my husband told me about. And so my husband looked at me from across the kitchen. He's like, how could you possibly? Yeah, like, you're not supposed to know that. Right? Right. But, when it comes to the kids, my husband and I always tell each other everything. But the kids don't always tell us everything, but we always keep each other in the loop. So all of a sudden he was like, doing right. So that's another example, right? In those situations, I think that happens more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will change the subject, very unlikely, but it might be such a big problem, a disaster that maybe. So maybe a 2, and yeah, and I would kind of face the problem bravely and apologize or whatever on a 5 or 5, like very high score here.
5, yeah. 5
I would try to do that. I would generally try to do that. Okay.
Yes. All right. So while you bring the slides up, I'm gonna calculate your score just based on these 4 questions.
I don't think we have I don't think we have a time to go through all the steps of the conflict resolution. So while Renee is calculating the discussion, my score, what I'm going to tell you guys is in the preparation for today's meeting, and obviously it went a little bit off the script as usually it does. And today, Renee, it's a little bit less of a leadership conversation or kind of a learning. I think it's more of a chit chat that we are having. But don't blame us. So anyway, guys, we've prepared like a little bit of a conflict resolution guide using the Johari window.
Yes.
It has 7 steps, like 7 leadership styles, and I guess what's gonna happen is we'll have to go through the 7 steps next week, because I think we are talking already for 45 minutes, and I guess it would be better if we just take the
Part 2. Yeah.
we do the part 2. Maybe the only thing, Renee, that we should say is we're going to reveal the step 1, because I think it's important, maybe before the next conversation that we have, that you actually do the step 1 by yourself.
Yes.
Because the step 1 in this conflict resolution is to sit down and do a little bit what we've done right now. I mean, don't spend, if you have a conflict resolution situation in work, and you're trying to really address the problem, don't spend 45 minutes on explaining the Johari window to everybody and make a lot of jokes and, kind of a discussions about your family and stuff. You can do it with Renee and myself if we go for a coffee together. That's good. But you should actually, if you want to use this kind of a model that we're going to share with you next week, is you should actually explain this whole Johari window model. You get some information today. Renee explained it extremely well. Even I understood it. and then they should actually spend some time to fill their own Johari window. Like I've done the 4 questions today. It's 20 questions. So maybe, when you are preparing for this kind of a discussion, with the different parties, how to resolve the problem, maybe you want to put in front of them, even ahead of a meeting, this Johari window of concept. And before the meeting even starts, you explain to them in an email or maybe a video or a quick call what the Johari window is. You share with them the Johari window model, and you ask them, hey, you know what? Next week, we're going to try to solve this problem. We're going to solve this issue that we need to kind of address. Or we're going to have like a reunification, team reunification discussion. Just do this test before the event, because we're going to be comparing the results from the test during the meeting, and that's going to help us significantly to get to the outcome faster. So I guess for all of you guys who are listening to us today, and who's going to follow all of you that do listen to the replay, it would be really awesome if you would do the test. That all the 20 questions that Renee is going to post later on our chat here or on our profiles here. You do the test, and then next week, you're going to have a tool in your hand. Like Renee's 35 open.
Yeah.
What am I, Renee?
Well, so far you're 9 and 10 open, right? But it's only 4 questions, right? So
okay.
We'll do the whole thing. I'll send you, you'll do the whole thing. You'll do your little plot. You'll come up with your graph, right? And again, this is not a right or wrong exercise. I do think, Magic, just not to leave people hanging. You have the one slide at the end that has the 3 bullets of 3 key recommendations. Those are applicable regardless of whether you use Johari window or not. If you're a leader in any scenario, these key takeaways are applicable, right? And again, the journey of a leader is a nonstop journey. It's every day you learn something, and every day you work on a new skill, or you continue to refine an existing skill. And when you're solving conflict, you should seek to understand. You should be transparent about your point of view, but also transparent with yourself about what you know about, what you don't know about, and make sure that you do a very genuine self-assessment, right? How are you contributing to the tension? Are you being closed-minded when you get the feedback, right? Are you being, completely ignorant on a topic, right? And unwilling to learn more about it for some reason. And last but not least, are you in a situation where you're not You don't feel safe. There's no trust. Therefore, the conflict can't be addressed yet because you're not in a trusting environment. And in that situation, you first have to address the trust issue, right? And maybe you haven't been able to address the trust issue because you're constantly in conflict. So those three things I think are valid. Magic, what do you think? No matter what.
I think no matter what, and again, we're going to go through the whole guide next week, and we need to agree when next week, because next week it's a public holiday in Poland, so we might need to move our meeting again, or maybe shift it a week. Anyway, so we are sharing with you guys two elements of it. The first slide, which is your preparation for the discussion next week or next time that we're going to talk. And that's kind of a summary. I mean, this is very valid. Transparency and open communication is going to be super, super important. And if you are open about stuff, if you are really sharing share as much as you can. I mean, I know sometimes people don't trust each other, and then sharing and being open is very difficult. Bringing somebody like a third party can help you to solve a problem, because if you put the cards on the table, then you can have a feedback. You can exchange ideas and openly discuss the disconnects. And trust will help you to actually come to the compromise or kind of build some kind of a consensus to how to move forward. And next time we're going to talk, we're going to share with you the kind of 7 steps how to do that. So do your assessment, Johari Windows assessment, and join us next week for a discussion. Okay.
Now, we're going to give you 8 minutes back. We are very grateful that you joined us, and make sure that you watch for the invites and for the event so you don't miss it. Thank you for your time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Speak to you later, guys.